spent my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were. Hello, everyone out there in social media land. And of course, I'm your host, P with Mountain Readiness. Hello, all you people out there, Komodo Bear, FIB Preparedness. There's Larry, there's Guy. We're getting some people in the house to see what we got going on. Remember, guys, real quick, just mash that subscribe button. Help us grow. Beat that thing like it owes you money. It's hard. It's hard to get love in this day and age when it comes to social media. But tonight, I'm super excited because we have an awesome guest. Somebody that I look up to, somebody that I actually watch on social media. The bad part is there's a lot of people on social media, but when you do this as kind of like a job, this is my other full-time job, it's hard to keep up with what everybody else is doing. And so, but this particular individual that's sitting right next to me over here in the other cubicle, I've gotten good at figuring out which finger goes which direction. But Billy Bond is in the house with us tonight with Perma Pastures Farms. Billy, thank you for coming over here to our humble little live stream, brother.
Hey, glad to be here with you. I shut my program down a little bit early just to be on with you, bro. It's a joy to be here. Man,
I am flattered, to say the least. I actually seen Michelle's name pop up, because these phones, man, the government collars we got, it dings and whistles, and it says Michelle subscribed to Mountain Readiness. I was like, well, there's nothing else that I need to see in life. That my life is complete at that point. So,
well, she is the homestead honey. I mean, what else can you expect? I mean, I definitely married up, man. No doubt about that.
No doubt. And I as well. The same deal. The brains behind the brawn. My wife Amber, she's the brains. I've just got the back. She tells me what we're supposed to be doing, and then I carry that out. But man, I'm super excited to have you on here tonight because you have been blowing the whistle on all kinds of craziness that's going on here in the good old state of North Carolina. That's been the truth is being hidden by those higher powers that be, those elitist pedophiles that run this country. And you and TJ Bear Independent, we just recently were over in your neck of the woods with Ann Vandersteel, who did the documentary showing a bunch of this crazy. I couldn't believe, man, how much garbage and stuff is just still piled up around there. It had been about a month since I've been over in that area. The roads still have 10 feet of garbage lining roads, people in tents. It blows my mind. It's like Big Brother just forgot about that area. It doesn't even exist anymore. Let's talk about that first, because you've been spending a ton of money out of your own pocket funding the testing of soil and water and just how bad everything is, on top of trying to come up with a great strategy and a game plan to rebuild that soil that's just been damaged so far. What have you been doing here lately, Billy?
Yeah. Here lately, Michelle and I had to go to our storage unit, which I mean, I don't know how to say this. Well, I forgot who I'm talking to. I can just be as straight up as I want to.
You say whatever you want to here, brother.
That's right. So we went out today to go to our storage unit, which is one of them we have. And of course, we have supplies in there. We got all kinds of stuff. And by the way, it just goes to show you, we had inside this one of the units we have, I ain't kidding you, I bet that water was every bit of 5 feet high. Well, we opened the door on this storage unit, and I'll tell you what, everything that was in those 5-gallon buckets and Mylar bags, 100% absolutely just fine. Nothing's wrong with it. So it goes to show you that when, first of all, when you prepare things and you store them in the proper way, that they can survive some pretty unbelievable things. Like some of these buckets were underwater and there wasn't a drop of water in a single bucket. So awesome. We were over there while we were doing that. We were in a, I don't want to say what town it is because I don't want anybody zooming in on my stuff. But just like you said, there is piles of debris 10 to 12 feet tall on certain parts of the road. And it's not far. It ain't, but I'd say 10, 15 minutes away from where I'm sitting right now. And it's like Godzilla walked all over this place and we've been forgotten about. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to know the truth. I mean, even the ones that are left, as you said, we've done a fair amount of testing. You know, there've been a number of us that have, or at least several of us that have. And instead of going after the people that have lied about the safety concerning the soil and everything else going on around here, most of the people, believe it or not, are deciding to kill the messenger. I got the goods. I got the results. I'm not telling you where the lab came from. I'm not, because I'd like to go back to this lab. It was nearly impossible to find a lab that would actually give us honest results, and to find environmental engineers that were willing to come out here, get this work done, and do it in such a way to where we could get honest results and still be able to use this lab. I've had bribes come after me. I mean, I've literally had people bribe me to keep me from doing what we're doing. We've had sleazy newspaper reporters from everywhere from Tennessee to some of the local ones reaching out to us, absolutely demanding to see the test results. And I'm like, no, I'm not showing you my test results. And then there's a bigger story that we haven't broken yet, and we're going to prove that beyond all doubt that mountain readiness. See, T, let me give you a little bit of background here. You're asking about what we've been up to. Well, one of the things has been people were breaking our chops saying, I need to see the test reports. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. As soon as you show me a picture of you holding the results from Mountain True, the people that told you everything was just fine around here, as soon as you show me those results, I'll show you mine. Well, what I didn't expect is that one girl actually did. She got the results, and check it out. The results, at the time they reported that everything was just fine, the results they sent are worse than the ones we reported. Absolutely worst. So we got them by the kishkas, and we haven't told everybody yet. We haven't done all that. We're making sure all of our because look, they're not going to go after these people that are pathological liars. They're going to go after those of us. That's exactly why when I did the show where we all dropped our test results at the same time, I wanted it to be so unimpeachable because I knew what would happen. I mean, I used to work in the media, okay? I was in the talk radio business back in Kansas City, and I know how sleazy these people are. So I'm like, there's no way I am going to do this unless we have all of this stock, lottie-dottie, everybody, where we don't have the same, if we're not all walking to the same drum. So anyway, what I'm up to right now is as soon as I get a little bit of bandwidth, I'm going to give a really nice Christmas present to all the people out there that lied and said everything that was great because they screwed up and they sent the actual results that they had. And those results prove that at the time, at the very date they were lying, they had results that proved that the things were worse than what we reported. Now, as with the passage of time, obviously things are going to get a little bit better, but still there's a lot of these, what they call forever chemicals still out there. And that's where we come in. So we're spending a fair amount of our time. We started a foundation called the Living Soil Foundation to basically pay for the testing. I mean, each one of these tests in the comprehensive way that we're doing it cost us last time for the engineers, their gas, and all the other stuff, and the testing altogether was about $8,800. I don't know about you, bro, but I can't spring that money every single time. But unfortunately, I have to, because the people, the liars out there, the prostitute media, all these other people, they are at a full court press, and of course there's forums out there calling us this and that. Man, I didn't just step out of the cotton fields, bro. I know doggone good and well that if I didn't have the goods, there was no way on earth, knowing full well that they were going to put their full force after me. But you know what? It's not working, and we're just going to keep coming after them. And by and large, most people have kind of forgotten what's going on around here, even the local people. I can't even believe my eyes. I mean, there's folks down there with their kids playing by the river where we know it's toxic. I mean, it was so bad, bro. They had entire gangs of illegal Mexicans alongside the river out there, because if those people die, well, they're not on anybody's roll. Nobody's ever going to know it. Bro,
Right.
it was so bad. You could drive through there with the windows up in my truck, and you would get a headache 3 minutes driving through that spot. And they got these vatos down there by the river. I mean, how they weren't falling over, I don't know. So there's definitely some really nasty forever chemicals out there, and there's a lot of sleazy stuff going on around here. But the good thing is that we're going to fix it. We are absolutely going to fix it. And we got test plots right now doing that very thing.
That is huge, and that is commendable. I'll tell you, man, it's no kidding. Driving over there last week, there is a smell. It smells funky all over through there, chemical smell, and I was just mind blown. It looks like a third world country. It's insanity, the amounts of garbage just piled up, and we're not talking about just tree debris and stuff like that. I mean, it looks like a landfill. That's what it reminded me of driving down through there. I thought I was driving through a landfill, and but we've got tons of money we're sending over to Africa and Ukraine and all these areas, and right here in the good old U.S. of A, nada. It's like that area does not even exist anymore. People living in tents, and like you said, that's another thing though is how people just forget so easily. Sitting down there by the river, playing in the river and stuff, man. I wouldn't get within a 10-foot pole of the edge of that river with what has washed into that thing. If you take just the chemical companies itself out of the equation, you still have all the livestock and dead animals and stuff like that in there that's washed. Septic tanks, it's vile. It's vile to say the least. But I got to tell you, man, we've known each other for a little bit. And I've always liked what you're about, because we talked about this, how it seems social media has always been about how many likes and loves and clicks and shares you can get. But now you see all of these so-called homesteaders and so-called truth speakers, but they're scared to death to talk about weather manipulation or cloud seeding or something. Like, oh no, we can't do that. I'll get demonetized, and then maybe I have to go out and get a real job. Are you serious? Are you serious? Right. This is why I love what you and Michelle and TJ, y'all are doing, because you care more about truth than likes and shares.
Well, brother, I thank you for that, and thank you for noticing, because I learned long ago in my former career that doing the right thing doesn't mean you're going to keep a job. And frankly, YouTube, I mean, I guess it's a little easier for me because YouTube isn't paying me anything. I mean, despite the fact that I don't know where our subscribers are, I don't really keep up with that sort of thing. But, there's a lot of, I'll put it this way, there's a lot of people that are in the YouTube space that privately, they're as open about this stuff as you and I are talking right now. And even privately, when you and I are talking, they're you would think they were right on board, and they are, but they will not publicly speak of it. And then when you ask, or you get down to brass tacks, the reasons why, it is, well, it's funny. It's always, well, I got kids. And, it's funny because of all the times I stood up for certain things, I mean, I truly believe that everybody out there, whether you know it or not, you're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved. And When you find yourself in that position, it's always the guys out there that say, well, I got a wife and kids. I've never had a woman ever say that to me. It's always the guys that, want to act tough or whatever the case may be, that when the chips are on the table and it's time to put up, that's all the more reason why you should stand up, in my view. It's because it's, our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor. That's what the founding fathers wrote. And I'm thinking the very same thing now, that if we don't stand up right now, I got a grandbaby. I would love to be able to inherit what I'm working on right now. I would love her to be able to do that. But I'm kind of going to need a planet. I kind of need an earth, and I need one, frankly, that's clean. And so I'm going to have to go out here and I'm going to have to bust my butt. And if it means that I get demonetized, if it means that I get deplatformed, because honestly, once they hear what I'm talking about, they demonetize, it seems like, every other video. And as soon as I start talking about some of this stuff, or they'll suppress it. I mean, there's no secret that, people like you and me are never going to see the light of day unless they had honest algorithms, which they don't. So unless
they do not.
No, unless you play the fear game, because there's a number of the people that used to be in the homesteading space that all of a sudden have got into this whole thing of buy these 5 things or you're going to die, even though they have zero background. I was at preparedness long before I was ever at permaculture. And I've been at this thing for 25 years. And I'm like, okay, I've been at this long enough to know, and as well as I do, because you've been at it longer than I have. And you can see right through these people. You're like, okay, there ain't no 5 things you're going to buy that are just going to get you all squared away. But it's funny that in this space, people that have a much bigger footprint than I have, they will privately speak of this, but they will never say anything publicly. And to a certain extent, I guess I kind of understand, because I'm thinking, okay, take somebody like let's say Edward Snowden or Julian Assange or J. Kirk Wiebe or the long list of other people that have been whistleblowers. They got to be asking themselves, why did I risk my life? Or even some of them in the early grave, why did I risk my life for a population that couldn't care less? So to a certain extent, I understand it, but at the same time, I can't not go gently into that good night. I can't stand by and see an injustice unfold and not do something about it. I've always been that way. My name is William, okay? William means protector. It means Wilhelm, will protect. And I guess I have to live up to that name, because if I see an injustice, I got to say something about it. If they're, and I can't help but extend this same feeling regarding, I don't care if it's a person on the side of the road, or I see a guy abusing an animal, or Lord forbid I ever come across somebody harming a child. Any of those things, if I see them unfolding, or if, even though I am pretty doggone well protected where I live, I still to a certain extent belong to this community. So I feel it my duty. And I think that's a word people don't say much anymore. I'm sorry for the side tangent, but I can't help but bring this up. I got a book on my shelf over here, is the quotes from Robert E. Lee. If I had a list of 5 people I wish I could meet in history, he's one of them, believe it or not. And folks, what you think you know about the Civil War, everything you know about that is also a lie. But anyway, if you read through his private notebooks, you look at what Robert, the word he used most, I think, and I didn't count them up, but it just seems like it just jumped off the page, was the word duty. He used duty more than any other word, I think, in any of his correspondence. And I think that's a word that's largely been lost. You never hear it even said anymore. And I feel it my duty as an American, as a free living sentient being on this planet, to stand up in defiance of evil. And what that means, if it means that, I don't stay on this earth as long as other people, then so be it. Then I'm not going to have my place, as I said on my podcast a little while ago, that Teddy Roosevelt quote, my place will never be among those cold and timid souls that know neither victory nor defeat. The people that vacillate in front of their TVs every night, wishing they could be that character jumping off the screen when all you got to do is walk out your front door and start doing it. So that's exactly how I'm going to roll until I can't.
And that's commendable. Another word that's actually thrown out there, duty is not used very often anymore, but integrity is thrown out there. But I'll tell you, there isn't a lot of it seen. They talk about integrity nonstop, but there's nobody really practicing it. And neither are they with duty. It's amazing. It still comes down to that like, shares, and clicks, and give me love, and all this kind of stuff. I have children. I have two grandsons. One of them's probably going to jump on here just a little bit. It's his birthday today, and he's going to jump on here. I'm going to tell him happy birthday right here on the live so he can say hi to Grandpa. But, you know, my life doesn't mean that much in the grand scheme of things when it comes down to my children and grandchildren, because they're the ones that are going to be, if we don't stand up, then they get to deal with even more. To me, it's a no brainer for me. How can you just set aside and act like truth doesn't exist because you're too worried about a piece of paper with dead people on it? Because that's what it comes down to. Let's hide the truth because I like pieces of paper backed up with nothing that I sell my soul for. Just mind blowing, man. I don't understand it.
Bro, there's no, okay, I defy anybody in this audience to think of anything that is more that you will leave behind on this planet that's more worthwhile than your progeny. That is the only worthwhile thing outside of the food forest and the trees and all the other things I plant. The only worthwhile thing that I will truly leave on this planet is my kid and my grandchildren. And knowing that, I want, if there's a legacy, I guess that I would love them to remember of me is that, you know what, Grandpa wasn't a chump. He didn't sit here and he didn't stand by while all this stuff unfolded. Maybe he swung it out. Maybe he didn't, maybe he came up a little bit short, but Lord knows he tried. And yes. It just seems to me that we've become, I think it was Victor Hugo that said, adversity makes man, prosperity makes monsters. Well, here we are. We've been very prosperous for a very, very long time. And I think we've gotten to a point where we have a society, whether they're so jabbed up, they don't even know what planet they're on, or they're in this point of acquiescence where they're thinking that, oh, if I just shut up and I just stay in my little corner, they'll maybe get to me last. I don't know what the motive is, but I will not live as a slave. I will not do it. And in fact, in light of what you were just saying, and I mean, we're both North Carolinians, both of us. I'm asking myself serious questions about why I'm even paying taxes. I mean, the bottom line here is, good. I mean, I can't think of any justifiable reason. So Michelle and I have started the process to become state nationals, to absolutely get out of this whole system. I mean, it's step one. It's something that I don't know a whole lot about, but honestly, I mean, what we have to do to put our business in trust, it works for all the wealthy people out there. I know some that years ago were doing this very same thing. I'm wondering why on earth am I participating in this system? I mean, to a certain extent, you gotta be like Neo into the Matrix, when it serves you. But there's a fair piece of time where I'm thinking, why am I spending as much time in it as I do? Because I'm definitely to the point where, like you said just a few moments ago, you mean to tell me Biden has the audacity? And I'm a political atheist, by the way. I'm not left. I'm not right. I mean, if anything, if you had to classify me as anything, I guess you could say an anarchist. And I mean the classical definition of one. I mean, without government rulers. And when this poll cat has it's almost laughable. It's like it's meant to rub the mud in the face of all the Americans that are going through this stuff, where you hand over $1 billion to Africa. And why? For climate change or natural disasters that have occurred there. That is so asinine and unthinkable that I'm like, why is any of us paying a dime into this system that we know is absolutely corrupt? Maybe I'll just not ought to participate and do it in such a way that's not going to, where they're not going to put me in jail for tax evasion or something. So I'm definitely, I'm looking at every single possibility.
And on taxes, I'm the same way. It makes me sick one of my most favorite shirts that I have in the closet, it says, I like my coffee black and my tea in the harbor. And if you look at what we pay today versus then, we'd have done been chucking all the tea into the harbor, brother. That's a fact. We
You've been
are
throwing the politicians in the harbor.
on top of that, yeah, along with all the tea. Amen to that. Amen to that. No, we have become so soft and brainwashed. And I hate to say it. Look, I love America. I love the United States. I love the people that are in this community. I would stand up for all of them, but we have become so desensitized and brainwashed that we will hand everything that we work for over just so we can sit there and watch Netflix with our microwave TV dinner and be content with that in our little cubicle. You know, from day one, we are brainwashed, and as slaves, we're told, hey, go to school, go to the public school. You got to be there. The bell rings at 8 and it rings at 12 for lunch, and it rings again, and then at 5 you go home. It's the same thing. They structure us to be worker ants from day one all the way till now. And then we're sold this whole bunch of garbage about white picket fence and a 30-year mortgage, and maybe you get to enjoy a little bit of it at the end of your life. When in all actuality, we're just we're cattle. We are cattle, and we're okay with it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't think I could have said it any better. You know, back when I was still working on my tools and I was working for other people back in the day, you know, nothing said slave to me. And this is going to sound a little bit strange to people, but work with me here. Nothing said slave to me or serf like having designated times to eat, for people to tell you when to eat. There was nothing, because I mean, as a farmer, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, you know, okay, the morning's coming around. I'll go ahead and feed the chickens, pigs, you know, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So when they have a designated thing on the calendar, it says, okay, this is lunchtime. Well, what if I'm not hungry? Okay. So I intentionally, and it was like my own, it was like one of those little soft protests that I did on my own, where I would never eat at lunch. And nobody ever understood why. I would never eat at lunch. I would sit there and I would probably, you know, take, you know, just do a little bit of meditation, a little quiet time to myself, whatever the case was. And then when I got back on my tools again, you know, I would find, you know, sneaky, subversive ways of going about it, because I was like, man, the only difference between me and the cow, or me and the duck, or me and the chicken, or me and the pig, or whatever the case may be, there is no difference. I mean, well, I think therefore I am, but at the same time, it was just one of those little things that said, hold on, we have this designated time to eat. How does that make me any different? Maybe I'm just overthinking some of this stuff, but that was where I started really, and this is years ago, started seeing the matrix for what it was, and then started asking critical questions about, okay, so I started with the silent protest, and I started standing up for this issue, and then that issue, and then whatever was important to me, only to realize that 9 times out of 10, like you said, that most people, I mean, you think of Plato's allegory of the cave. It was true 3,500 years ago, and it's true today. Most people are chained at the bottom of a cave, and they see these images on a wall. And from the time they're born, they're chained at the bottom of this cave. And everything they see and what their reality is are these images that are projected from behind them. And they're really shadows, but they don't know the difference because they've been in this cave their whole lives. Then all of a sudden, you break yourself free. You turn around for the first time ever and you realize, oh my goodness, there's a giant hearth behind here, and there's things walking across this causeway, and it's creating those shadows up on the board. So you say, okay, and then you climb your way up out of that cave, and then you see for the first time a blue sky, green grass, trees, birds, but you're seeing them this time, you're seeing them 3-dimensionally. You're seeing them in a way that nobody in that cave has ever seen them before. And so you explore this place that to you, I mean, all these things are nothing short of wonders to your eyes. Then you go back down in the cave and you tell all of those people who are still very much chained to the bottom of that cave, looking at these fake images on the wall, you tell them about, hey, this isn't real. This is a false reality. This is how it really is. Come on, follow me outside this cave, and it's going to be so much better. Check it out. And then if they could, they'd kill them. Like I said, that was true 3,500 years ago when Plato wrote it, and it's still true today. So people are
Truth is
fundamentally
scary.
tied to this.
That truth is scary. Truth is scary. Everyone's scared of the truth because once you know it, there's no going back. You can't go back into your little cave and act like the shadows on the wall are real because you know they aren't then. I think that's what it is. I think, it's crazy with all the flack and the just toe kicks to the mouth that you've been catching over this whole thing in North Carolina. Same deal. You're talking truth. You're bringing truth to people, and then in return, they turn around and just kick you right in the teeth for it. I think that's where we've talked about this a couple times. That's where we're at. I think the majority of folks are scared of that truth. They don't want to know truth, and so when you bring it to them, it jeopardizes their happy little fake life that they live in.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was telling this story the other day to a friend of mine, where there was this guy. It's a crazy story where he sold the Eiffel Tower for scrap twice. It's a pretty cool history lesson. So check this out. Right after World War I, of course, everybody's in debt, and of course, Europe is destroyed for the most part. He pretends to be a government official, and he rolls into all the scrap metal dealers around Paris, around all of France, really. And he posed himself as a government official, of course. And the reason they believed him is because when he went to each contractor, he said, look, for you to get this contract, you're going to have to basically kick me down with some money. So they thought he was legit just because he asked for a bribe. So they thought he was a legitimate government person because, if he didn't ask for a bribe, then it wouldn't have been legit. So he went around, he cleaned these guys out. Got the equivalent of $1 million right after World War I. But all of the contractors were so incredibly embarrassed. They were so embarrassed that they never told anybody. So he did the same exact thing after World War II. This guy, 20 years later, went back, now it was a different set of contractors at this point. And because, like I said, they were so embarrassed the first time, they never told anybody about it. Well, he didn't quite get as successful this time around. I mean, I don't remember what he did, but somehow he slipped up. When he was asked how he got away with it, and it goes to your point, he said, no amount of evidence can shatter a faith consciously based on a lie. No amount of evidence can shatter a faith consciously based on a lie. And that's exactly where we live right now, where people are that fake steak tastes the best in the Matrix,
That's it. And I tell you that, it's crazy. The media, Hollywood, it's amazing how they just throw us out these tidbits, and sometimes not just tidbits, just blatantly lay it out for you of what they are doing. It's the same as what we're dealing with the politics today. Our fearless leader, Biden. I mean, what a joke. What a sad, sad joke to see this pedophile, withering away man. I'm not even going to call him a man. He's not even close to being a man. This just sick, twisted pedophile whose mind is completely gone. Did you see their selling off? He was scrapping off the border wall here recently. Speaking of selling off, selling the Eiffel Tower. I mean, we got the same thing. He's selling off the border wall for pennies on a dollar. But no, you're right. People, the Matrix, that movie lays it out perfectly where we are at currently today. People live in a dream. They know it's fake. They know it's a facade, but they choose to stay in it because if you take that other pill, now there's no going back. You've woken from the dream, and that's it. There's no turning back, no changing it. You have to accept what truth and reality actually is.
That's why I love so much going to your event at Mountain Readiness. And by the way, folks, if you haven't been there, I'm telling you, I've been saying it for months now. It is without a doubt the best show you don't know about yet. And the cool thing about it, it's not just, well, one of the awesome things is they got classes there you will not find anywhere else. And he's, of course, adding more to, every single time. And folks, that's why I'm going to scream it from the mountaintops, because to your point, is that I fundamentally, unless I'm in the right crowd, I don't really care to be around anybody. I would rather be in my own mind, in my own space, than be around a bunch of people who are content to be spoon-fed garbage. And that's one
Yes.
beautiful thing about your event. And that's why I think everybody in the great, I mean, I will definitely be there. Ain't no two ways about that. And that's one beautiful thing, to your point, is that, whenever you find yourself congregated in a certain place, and there's times where these homestead festivals, I mean, it's, you're going to find a lot of overlap and some people that you might share something with. But that's one beautiful thing about your thing, is that you're going to be hard pressed to come across people that aren't awake. And that's, yeah, right there, my fortress of solitude. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So I stay right here in Superman's my fortress of solitude is called Billy's Jungle Palace of Love. So, but yeah, I mean, I would rather be in my own thoughts than be in the company of fools. Like even the Bible says, he that walks with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. So I would rather be in my own thoughts than be in a place where there's a bunch of whack job marchies running around. So that's one cool thing about going to an event like yours, is that, folks, you will be edified. You will be humbled. You will find, you're gonna realize that there are a whole constellation of things. I don't care how long you've been at this, you don't know it all. I guarantee you're going to go out there and there's going to be at least 20 people that are doing things you didn't even know existed, or you don't know about, or maybe you want to learn about. That's the beauty.
I really appreciate that.
Well, bro,
I appreciate that, Billy, for sure, man.
well, it's the truth. I mean, the honest, I've been telling everybody forever and a day, and that's why I don't understand why the people aren't breaking down the doors going to this place, because there are classes there you will not find anywhere else. There's no other festival that has anything like it. I mean, and to be completely frank and honest, every homestead festival out there has the same tired classes that you've already seen 1,000 times. And that's why I'm saying I'm just not going to do them anymore. I don't care. There are people that want to pay me a lot of money to go to certain places and speak, or whatever the case may be. You know what? I'd rather not do it if it means I'm just going to be in the company of the same. I mean, the people are great, don't get me wrong. But if we're just going to sit here and rehash the same stuff over and over again, or we're going to do the same list of courses that has been in all the other homestead courses, then you don't need me there for that. I mean, I'm trying to grow as a person every single day.
Right.
So if I can't do
I
that,
couldn't say
I don't
that
want to be
better.
there.
That is exact, and thank you so much, because that's the type of stuff that makes me just keep pushing forward, because as well as I do, when you do events, when you do social media, it wears on you. It wears on you. It beats you down. You're constantly fighting. It seems like you're constantly fighting the uphill battle when you do anything like this. When you want to bring truth, and the Mountain Readiness for us was to bring hands-on approach of all aspects of preparedness, and we were just left unfulfilled when we went to these other events. I'm not going to name them, not going to bash them, but at the same time, I can only listen to somebody stand up on a podium and talk into a microphone for hours while my backside goes to sleep and I fan myself in the tent. I'm not growing as a person. What did this do for me other than make me gain 10 pounds from eating, someone like Shane's food, sitting there, listen to somebody talk for 8 to 10 hours a day? Look, I can do that at home on my couch, watching YouTube, watching Perma Pastures Farm, and I get more out of it than sitting in a tent listening to Joe Blow talk about regenerative farming. I mean, look, I get it. It has its place, but we wanted something where it's a hands-on approach. I want people to come right here. I got Chuck, Homestead Medical. Do you know Chuck?
Oh yeah.
You ever met Chuck, Billy? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Chuck will be there.
I got a tourniquet that he gave me downstairs.
Perfect. Chuck is one of those hands-on guys. He's done it for real. I got with Chuck here. He was at our last, well, we tried to get him at the one before, but we were just booked out. But he was at our last fall event. He's going to be back in May. And, the medical thing is huge right now. Are the comms. So we got Brush Beater doing comm stuff. We've got Chuck with Homestead. It's going to be doing a lot of medical stuff. You will be doing hands-on stuff. Now, look, guys, I'm going to be straight up frank with you here. All right. When you go to our website, it's all right. But I'm going to tell you the reason that it doesn't look as cool is because I'm the one doing it all. It sucks. I'm not a marketing guy. All right. Don't judge Mound Readiness by what you see on media, because yours truly is the guy producing all this stuff. Give it a shot. Come and check it out for yourself, because I promise you, what you see there will blow away what I show on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all this other crap, because that's just me sitting here in my shorts for 3 hours every morning trying to figure out how to make a Canva look halfway cool. And I'm not that guy. I'm just going to be honest. I'm the one-man show. That's not my gig. But what my wheelhouse is bringing together the best of the best instructors to do hands-on classes and get the butts out of the seats. All right. Instead of just sitting there all day long staring at a stage, get you up and get your hands dirty. I told a bunch of people, we did chicken processing. I said, look, until your hand is up the backside of a chicken, you don't know what it's about. You can watch a PowerPoint all day long, but you need to get dirty. And that's what we're about. We're about getting your hands dirty and actually learning, because the hands-on approach, that's the only way I learn, brother.
Well, that's the only way. I think the apprenticeship method, which is basically what you had there, is the only, especially when it comes to these kind of skills. I mean, this isn't something, it's not like some classroom. Let me say it another way, because I'm going to echo what you said there. One of the areas where I think so many of these homestead festivals is missing the boat, absolutely, is that when I'm standing up there and I'm doing a speech or whatever the case, yeah, I can do that sort of thing. But like you, I'm always feeling as if I'm kind of shortchanging folks if it's not some action-oriented thing that they're going to walk away with and be able to do. Okay, the most I feel fulfilled when I do these festivals is when, okay, I'm going to show everybody how to process a pig, a goat, a pig, everything but a cow, because we just frankly don't have enough time to do a cow at a festival unless it's like
that's the entire festival. We could do a cow butchering festival. That's what that would be.
Exactly. There's no way we're just going to be able to do that in the afternoon. But with yours, you walk away empowered. I mean, I remember sitting through, I said, let me go ahead and do this tracking course. I sat there, this guy was former Green Beret in Vietnam, I think, that was teaching the course. And I couldn't believe how much I learned in 2 hours. I walked out of there and I was like, I cannot believe how much I learned in 2 flipping hours regarding tracking. And I was like, okay, so it wet my beak to say, okay, maybe I want to go out here and do the week-long course. And that's the cool thing about it, is that if you want additional training, well, you just found the perfect instructors to go do it. And now,
absolutely.
And then there's none of this just standing up. I'm looking to my left and I see Bear teaching folks how to put on a tourniquet. Ran into Chuck, I think, at one of these. I mean, I've run into Chuck at several festivals. Not saying there's anything wrong with the other folks that stand up, because some of those things do have their places, but yours is like nearly all hands on. It's all, I did a rigging class there, a couple of years ago.
Knots and rigging.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, man, it felt good to be able to knock the dust off of a course I haven't taught in a long time. And at the same time, be able, when it's all said and done, to show everybody, okay, this is how it goes. I mean, and it's a beautiful spot. I mean, I can't think of a better place to actually have a festival. But that's what I think, that's what I'm hoping folks actually take away from this thing, is that, this whole thing of just going into place and then watching somebody stand on a stage for hours, that's not my gig. I don't care what you're paying. I'm not going. I would rather go there and go to yours for free and teach some things and learn some things and come across with a bunch of people that I know are serious about this, because that's the difference, I think, between what you have going on there and a lot of these others, is that they're some of them seem to prey on, oh, the people that are a little bit curious about this lifestyle. Man, forget that. The best way to get into this is go full steam ahead, get your hands on it.
Into it.
Because I could look at it all day in a book. If I don't put my hands on it, it ain't making sense to me.
No, I cannot learn. I cannot learn that way. And Mike, I'm going to tell you, let's see, I'll be his assistant. No, you do not look like Vanna White. I can attest to that. But if you hold that card up correctly and cover that mug, it still work out. So we'll see if we can do it. We can see if we can do that. No, my brain, I mean, in full transparency, at 14 years old, I quit school, man. We were homeschooled. 14, quit school. Wasn't for me. Told my father, I said, look, man. I said, oh man, I'm done with this school thing. And he's like, if you're not going to go to school, you going to work. So I went to work in Bruno, Piatt, Arkansas, between Mountain Home and Harrison, as a laborer on a mason crew. That was my first job, 14, humping brick and mud for a bunch of ex-convicts. And I did that for 2 years. And, that was just, it just wasn't for me. I'm a hands-on person. I have to do it with my hands. I can read about it all day long. I can listen to somebody talk about it all day long. But if I don't have my hands on it, it's a waste of time. Pictures help me a lot, but I am a picture guy. But no, you nailed it. And that knots and rigging class that you did, Billy, was awesome, man. I caught some of that off to the side trying to get some media. And Bear over there, he's got people with tourniquets on. He's making a march around the campground. This time we're going to have we've got NC Scout night vision and thermals. All right, there's something you can actually put these things on. He's going to show you how they work, what the price points are, what the pluses, what the minuses is. And people's like, what? Night vision, thermal? Hey, look, if you have a homestead, this stuff is a game changer for you. You don't have to be some tactical guy that, we don't have to be Carl Erickson. Nothing against Carl, because Carl is awesome with tactical rifling. But I got night vision, and I got 40 acres in the middle of nowhere woods, and out here is bears and coyotes and all kinds of good stuff that can kill my chickens and my goats and do harm to my livestock. We're going to actually teach that. Comms. Comms is a huge thing, which a lot of people saw here in North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. That combo went down. People didn't know what to do. How do we even let people know we're still alive? So we've got comms classes that we're going to be doing, and it's hands-on through the entire weekend. We have a full comms class on Thursday that you can sign up for. And then we have commo all through the weekend, small classes. So you can get prepped all up on your comms, and they're selling the comms there. You can buy comms, you can buy night vision. We've got all these vendors doing all this kind of stuff. But no, it's hands-on approach, 100%, man. We'll talk a little bit, but I love seeing people get out there. Last May we processed 100 chickens. I kid you not. There was literally 100 chickens. You should see these people. Their faces went from, ew, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have my hand up the backside of a chicken, to just smiling and owning the world. It was great. It was great. But I really appreciate that, Billy, that you set us up to that standard, because that's a lot coming from you, man.
No, I've gone to so many of these things, and when I got to yours, I was like, man, this is a cut above the rest. I can't believe nobody knows about this thing yet. And it was a joy for me to be able to see, man, okay, I know the typical classes that are offered at these things, and there is nobody out there that's even in the ballpark with the classes you had there. I mean, just think about the one, okay, two of the biggest things that were, and you just cited them right there, based on what we went through here in North Carolina. If you read like the books 1 second after, one of the biggest things that people have the hardest time adjusting to, especially when all the power goes off, as it did here in Western North Carolina, is the lack of light in a Western culture. There is nothing that freaks people out more than not having any light. I mean, they don't know what it's like. I mean, as a soldier, I know very well what it's like in a tactical environment, you're not going to have a light on. You don't have a headlamp on. You're not having any of those things. So you learn to be very comfortable in the night setting. Most people are not that way. But that's very important that you have night vision, because now, there's some holes in, not holes necessarily. I got night vision, but I'm thinking, okay, I want to scale it up. Cool. I'm going to be in a place where there's some real pros out here that can get me tightened up on something that I need to improve on. Another thing, big one, commo. When this thing happened in Western North Carolina, it was almost an embarrassment. And I would say it was an embarrassment, because truly, I've been at the preparedness game for well over 2 decades. And that was the one area in my game that I thought I didn't need to worry about, because I'm thinking, okay, I got everything here. What am I worried about? I mean, I don't need to get a hold of anybody. Right. But that's really a selfish way of looking at it when you get down to brass tacks, because I'm like, okay, what if there's somebody that needs my help? I mean, yeah, we set ourselves up well to be, very fine where we live, and everything's cool. But at the same time, I was like, okay, there was not a single person I know of around here, not one, that had their stuff together when it came to commo. Now, we could have been bouncing signals off of, off of some of these towers that were on the mountains, but nobody knew that they could. And so now it's one of the biggest gaping holes in everybody's game right now is communications, whether it's with your mutual assistance group or whether it's with friends down the road, or maybe it's you need to relay a message out of that area to somebody to let your family know that may live in Texas. Like, my family, they didn't know we were alive or dead. I mean, for a solid week. You couldn't even trust the local media, folks. I live here in Western North Carolina. I lived through this, and I saw how it went down. It was, what was it? 4 days into this thing before NPR. Now forgive me I like to know what my enemy thinks, so I listen to NPR every once in a while. It was 4 days into this before NPR even started to do any local coverage of it. 4 days into it. Nobody knew, hey, this interstate is out. I-40 was out, which, by the way, it just went out again. Nobody knew that you couldn't get up and down 26. Only way you could get in and out this entire area was south down 26. That was it. There was no other way. I couldn't even get into Burnsville. It was a solid 2 weeks before I knew whether or not my friends at Renewed Homestead were even alive. I mean, that was a gaping hole in my game. And that's one of the areas where I'm like, okay, I cannot allow this to happen again. There were other little things out there. I mean, most people would consider them to be minor, but when you've been at this as long as I have, and you're thinking, okay, these are from where I'm standing. Yeah, fundamentally, my food and water's on lock. Everything's good. But the mental anguish that it's provided, the mental anguish that may be going on with your family that does not live near you could be agonizing. And if I just had a satellite phone or a radio or could transmit something to somebody that could transmit or make a phone call to my family and let them know everything's okay, there was a whole lot of things that could have gone wrong. And I don't intend to make those mistakes again, but you're really, really good at filling in all those gaps that most people don't even realize they don't have squared away in their plan.
And think about this. This is something that we saw. Of course, Ash, we got some ridiculous wind and rain. But as far as what you guys seen in your neck of the woods compared to us, it's apples to oranges. I mean, you guys got obliterated compared to what we did. But Ashe County, which is right across the hill from us, they got smacked pretty hard. And the crazy part, what I saw is why commo is so important. And I need brushed up, like seriously. I'm focusing on that as well, because that was one of those things like, I'm pretty set up. I've got all the boxes checked. But at the same time, we met tons of people who had all the preps. They were prepared to the hilt, and it was all gone in about 2 seconds. If they'd had those comms, they could have, hey, we're still alive, but we're out here and we got nothing, because it just all got washed down the river. So that there is a huge thing. You may think you're completely perfectly set up, but Mother Nature she she's got a different plan for you. So we've been having a great conversation, but I want to take a second. My I don't know, I don't know if they message on here or not, but my grandson Arlo is 4 years old today, and I got to say hi to my little buddy Arlo. Happy birthday, 4 years old. I love you, buddy. I'll see you here real soon, and thanks for watching your grandpa up here run his yap. So, but love you. Um, but no, I really think, man, I love what you're doing with everything of your channel of preaching truth. I really appreciate you showing us some love here at Mountain Readiness, because we do. There we go. Happy birthday, Arlo. Even the man behind the curtain, Russ, set that up for me. Look at this. You got a whole bunch of people on here telling you happy birthday as well. Um, but I've lost my train of thought. Thinking about grandkids does that to you. You know what I'm saying? You start thinking about grandkids and you just kind of drift off into some other land. Grandkids are awesome. There he is. There's my daughter. He said, "Thank you, love you, Paw, shoot, shoot." my grandsons call me Paw, shoot, shoot, because the excessive amount of firearms that, that's how they know me. They come over and shoot with me, play toy guns and all that. So it's Paw, shoot, shoot is what I'm referred to from the youngins. Love it. I love it. But Billy, where are we going, man? This is our wrap-up show of the year. What do you think we have until for 2025? Because I'm going to tell you, man, look, I voted for Trump, but even if he had 12 more years, I just don't know if this can be fixed. I mean, we have been put in such a spot, not just for the past 4 years. And I'm going to say this, and maybe I'll get kicked into the teeth, but I'm going to tell you, I don't trust anyone in that office anymore. I think if you make it into that office, somebody else made sure that you made it into that office. That's just how I'm going to put it. This year has just flown by for me. I don't know about you. Every year it just goes a little bit faster, dude. But what do you think? Where are we going for 2025?
Well, first of all, I want to give a happy birthday to Arlo. Hey, I was 4 once, and it's been a couple of moons since I was 4, but congratulations on making it to 4. Well, man, I sure hope Arlo isn't listening to this right now. But honestly, I've been called a pessimist regarding some of my views on this. But history shows that when you have a society that hits this level of depravity, nothing corrects it outside of the crucible of really hard times. History proves it. In fact, there's only one society in history that's ever hit a level of depravity and ever corrected itself. And that was probably Nineveh. And then it wasn't long after that they got dealt with. So when you hit this where people can no longer look in between their own legs and determine what their sex is, or when I got to walk around town and guess what it is at a person, or you have people that they live so cush an American life that they have to make themselves victims. Well, history doesn't long entrust freedom to people like that. So sadly, I have to conclude, I'll be honest with you, I don't trust Trump or any other politician as far as I can throw them. And I know, and I know that's kind of where you were going with it too. I don't trust any of them. But in 2025, we had a thing called the, can't remember the name of that report, but basically it concluded, doggone it, it's escaping me right now. I think it begins with a D. But anyway, they concluded by the end of 2025 that America's population would be down to 70 million. And I can't recall the name of it right now. I'm sure I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think about it. And then there's a number. I mean, basically, I think there is a great culling that's about to unfold. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's all the more reason why you need to get this training. I think based on what we've already experienced, or whether or not they decide to do it through warfare. or some undreamed of scandal or slimy whatever they decide to unfold. I just don't see this population because, like I said, from a historical standpoint, I can't find but one case in all of human history that I'm aware of where a decadent society has ever corrected itself. Now, I would love to hope that maybe there's a way of correcting it, and I pray that there is. Because for the benefit of your grandson and my granddaughter and all the other children and grandchildren we may have out there collectively between all of us that are congregated right now in this chat, as these things unfold, I'm just hoping and praying that somehow justice prevails, even though we live in a lawless society. Nobody seems to care about anything that doesn't land in their own backyard. And
that's it.
Yeah, as long as we live in that state, as long as we're in this state of where, I know it sounds really pessimistic, but honestly, I can't find a case in history where anybody could disprove what I'm saying. So I think we're on the precipice of something that's probably not going to be wonderful. And that's all the more reason why they need to go to something like Mountain Readiness and get your stuff. Find out those holes in your game. You don't fix them all overnight. Go there and say, okay, let me pick my hierarchy of courses that I need for something like this. Because honestly, I don't know that you'll have another one after this. I mean, and I hope I'm all wet. I truly do. I truly hope too. I hope I'm wrong. But honestly, I don't see how we get through. If we get through this next year without some great calamity unfolding or some great conflagration, I will be shocked. I hope I'm wrong.
By the grace of God, I think is it. It's I couldn't agree more, man. I think everybody's breathing a big sigh of relief, and they should be just full steam ahead, in my opinion. And guys, look, come to Mountain Readiness, work out your deficiencies before it counts. Like, you want to iron out those deficiencies now. You don't want to iron them out. Look, with Hurricane Helene and all that stuff went out, all those people, they learned the hard way. Everybody that didn't prepare, they were like, oh, wow, maybe there is something to having some food on hand, to having some commo, to having some preparedness set in place for just a natural disaster. Like you were saying with grandchildren and children and things like that too. I really like Frederick Douglass, who said it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Right? That's what you can do when you come to a place like Mountain Readiness. Build those strong children. We got a ton of broken men running around, that's for sure. I'm broken, everybody's beat all to pieces, but our children, our grandchildren, we need to build those strong children, because after you and me are gone, Generation X, I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't look good. I can tell you that. I think we're some of the last ones, Billy. What our children do from here is going to dictate where this world goes.
Yeah. Speaking of children, it was like Malcolm X said, only a damn fool would allow his enemy to educate his child. Now that doesn't, now I understand that not everybody's going to be able to homeschool, but where that education should matter is around that dinner table or around or the breakfast table, or, where you undo, even if you're in a position of where you can't homeschool your kids. And I totally get it. I understand not everybody's able to do that sort of thing, but you got to put in and invest some time for that next generation to realize, okay, the best lessons, just like you said from the very beginning, you can't really learn something unless you put your hands on it. I'm exactly the same way. I can read and I remember most of what I read a lot of times, but it doesn't really translate. It's one thing if I'm reading a book and there's information in there, it's entirely another. If I'm trying to rebuild a carburetor, you ain't going to get it just by reading that book. You're going to have to put your hands on it. So that's it. And that's where it comes down to these kids, where even if you're not in a position to be able to, some of these teachers are just flat out lunatics. I'll be honest with you. So if you can't If you can't keep your kid out of the public school system, or you look, everybody's struggling to put bread on the table right now. I get it. You can't
Yes.
necessarily homeschool, but undo or at least mitigate some of the damage that's being caused by some of these things that are learning in school, or put them around some family members that are going to look. It's no longer reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's not the case anymore. It's indoctrination.
It
And if
is.
we don't get ahead of this, I mean, I was indoctrinated like everybody else, but you know what? It was my dad that undid a lot of that. That undid a lot of, there was things that I learned from him that I would have never learned from some teacher who's basically there in a lot of cases just trying to collect a check. So, yeah, when you get down to brass tacks on this stuff, folks, don't forget about the kids.
Absolutely, and we're doing the kid. We're trying to focus more on having kids classes as well. We got Schenkel Homestead Leather Works going to be do leather make and take with all the kids. They're going to be doing leather work. We're going to be doing primitive skills for the kids, and we were homeschooled as children. For most of we went to public school a little bit here and there if we moved, but most time we were homeschooled, and we focus too much on, look, I'm just going to say it. If you're going to be a rocket scientist, you need algebra. Otherwise, probably not. You know what you do need? Trades. You need to know how to use a hammer and a saw. You need to know how to raise a garden. You need to know how to hunt, fish, and provide for your family. Because those are the things that have disappeared. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to be a computer programmer, and now they're all working at Starbucks as a barista. Right? That's not how you take care of your family, right? And this is why the trades are in such high demand. I've done construction for years. I'm an ASE certified heavy truck and trailer tech, and I've never been a day out of work because it's in high demand, and every day it seems like even more. My phone, I give up being a manager the first this year because I was doing the same thing, got into the rut, chasing the dollar, giving up my life for money, for paper with dead people on it that didn't matter. I said, you know what? I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna do me again. Quit chasing this money because after I was done paying the man and the taxes,
That's
I
right.
wasn't making no money anyway.
That's right.
That's a whole nother live stream right there. But what we do with our children dictates what's going to happen with our future. And algebra is great. If you want to do it, fine. But no, we need to get some hands-on stuff with these children and get them back to the basics like our forefathers were.
Isn't it funny
Lead us
though?
out of here, Billy.
Isn't it funny though? Just to your point right there, let me just put this in there. Everything you mentioned there would have been a critical life skill 100 years ago. Everything you mentioned there, it would have been a critical life skill 100 years ago. And now these are forgotten. I mean, nobody cares anymore. I'm sorry, you said something there. I just wanted to.
No, I said, go ahead, Lee. I was going to say we can wrap it up. We're over an hour in. We just yap away, man. It's been a great show, but I will back that up. Is something that America needs to look at, and Hurricane Helene, it really showed no one's coming to save you guys. All right. We as a people, as individuals, and as a nation really need to start learning how to take care of ourselves again. Okay, instead of depending on everyone else. Yes, your community, you need a community, you need a tribe, you need folks that you collaborate with that make you a better person. But at the end of the day, you also need to be self-sufficient, and to be truly self-sufficient, you need to quit worrying about what the government can give you and what everybody can give you. And I know look, I'm not talking bad about the people of the flood that have lost everything, right? That puts them in a bad spot. They need help. And that help has come from their neighbors, which is the way it's supposed to be. Forget the government, forget them altogether. They should be doing something, but they're not because they're a bunch of tyrants. But, we as a people, I think we just depend on everyone else way too much. Gimme, 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 gimme. You need to quit looking looking for somebody to hook you up and start looking to your backyard, put a garden back there and start doing something with it.
That's right. A government that can give you everything can take it all away too. So
In quickness.
that's precisely why I just, like I said, I'm doing everything I can to look how I can legally get out of paying taxes, because I'm just sick and tired of feeding this beast. And there's record numbers of people that are becoming expats right now. This used to be the place where everybody went because of what, they perceived as the American dream. And now we got people that are leaving this country because it's no longer, I mean, if you look at the freedom index of all the countries in the world, I think, believe it or not, the United States, last time I looked, was like number 20 something on the list. I mean, you had places like Chile that were higher on the freedom index than United States of Amnesia. I mean,
mind-blowing.
That's how far we've fallen. So unless we better wake up and smell I keep saying it all the time, we better wake up and smell the corruption, or we're going to fall asleep drinking the hemlock. And here we are on the precipice of what could be either the best thing in the world, maybe the second American Revolution. I don't know what it could look like. I just hope I'm wrong in what I think might unfold. But at the same time, I'm not going to have any wishful thinking. I'm going to go out here and I am definitely, like you said, to kind of land this ship a little bit. I just want to encourage everybody to look. I know I said some pretty heavy things here, but if you're wanting to hear a velvet delivery, look, I'm just not built that way. I'm just going to tell you the way I see it. And the way I see it is, we are in big flipping trouble right now. Get your house in order. And that means get yourself the training you need to withstand and to recover and to prosper. All these times, all these historical times in the past, despite how bad it was, there were always people that were doing well. No matter how bad it was, there was always somebody who saw, like the sons of Issachar, saw the signs of the times and they made preparations for them. And that's exactly what we ought to be right now, because we're in a weird spot. I know everybody seems to think Trump's coming into office, everything's going to be fine. Well, I'd like to know what Trump's going to do when you got this train wreck of a financial system, the U.S. dollar, that is definitely on its last leg. It looks like they're trying to start World War III before he even gets in there. And then you look at half of the people that he has in there, or that Trump's talking about putting in, half of these people is old boss, same as a new boss, or new boss, same as the old boss. I mean, half of these people are neocons. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of difference. That's why I'm a political atheist. I didn't vote for either one of those people. I voted for a guy that nobody's ever even heard of before. And I be honest with you, I wrote my name in on half these ballots because I was like, I trust me. I trust me more than I do any of these poll cats.
If I knew you was running, Billy, I threw the vote on there myself for you.
No, well, I appreciate it, bro. But honestly, I wrote my own name in here. I'm like, okay, I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. Just get out of my way. That's all the founding fathers wanted from the very beginning, was get out of the way. There is not a one of them that would recognize the United States of amnesia these days. And that's exactly what we've become.
I'm gonna close it out on that, Billy. That was just this was a great time. We have to do this again for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's you, man. It's you. You just have, it's that radio talk show thing. That's got to be what it is. No, in all honesty, man, you are one of my idols. I've watched your channel now for a couple years, and which I found through Mountain Readiness. After you came, I was like, man, I got to check more of Billy out. And you break it down for us simpletons. That's what I like about it. You break it down to an area that everybody can understand. And the quote that you always put, the problem is the solution. I'm like, that blew me away. First time I heard you say that, I said, oh my gosh, that's the most profound thing I've heard on YouTube ever, was that statement right there. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for standing up for truth and caring more about truth than all this crap on social media. And thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm really looking forward to May when we're all together there.
Can't wait to have you on my show, bro. And we'll have to do this multiple times, man. It's always a joy to be with you, and I look up to you as well. Love your audience, and I definitely love the conference, man. I can't wait to be there. Thank you so much for having me.
Sounds good. Well, guys, you heard it. Billy's going to be there. We're going to do all kinds of awesome stuff. Get on Mountain Readiness, www.mountainreadiness.com. Check out the instructors. I got a ton more instructors that I got to load on there, but it takes me a long time to work on the website because I'm not that guy. And I type with two fingers, like Russ said. You know what? That's what happens when you quit school, guys. Then I guess stay in school, or at least learn to type. Don't stay in school. Yeah, be homeschooled, but learn to type. But look, if you're going to move with purpose. And thanks everybody for being here tonight. We'll see you not next Monday, next year, because we're going to take a few weeks off to chill. Russ, roll us on out of here. Billy, thank you, brother.